It has been a minute since I've done a review on a new product, and I actually have two new releases. I have this new Hourglass foundation that I am so excited. I'm gonna do a full day wear test on these, and I'm so curious how it works. I absolutely adore their skin tint, right? This is the Veil Hydrating Skin Tint. I love it. This is my second bottle of it, and it's just always here. So that definitely made me curious to try this one. I think this is supposed to have medium coverage, buildable. We'll see. But I also went by Chanel and saw that they have their new spring collection, spring summer, I think it's that. So you have this big palette that is a highlighter eyeshadow palette, and then I bought two of their lip balm lipsticks. There's more things in the collection. There's some eyeshadows as well, but I wasn't interested in that. The palette was the one thing that I was curious, more intrigued, because it looks very light. And then I swatched some of their lip balms and they looked beautiful and felt beautiful. So I picked those up. And that's it. That's what we're doing today. It's a full day wear test. So I'm going to take you throughout the day with me. We're having a winter storm here. So I'm probably going to be outside sledding. So we'll see how the makeup lasts throughout the day. But hope you guys will enjoy it. And let's get started. Before I get into the foundation, a couple of things about my skin. It is actually peeling so bad today. Right here on my chin mainly. It is from my skincare. So it's supposed to do this, but don't hold it against the foundation if you see that throughout the day. I try to moisturize real well and clean my skin, but it's just my skin peeling. And we have a couple bruises here and there from training. I think that's a good thing because we'll see how this covers up. And let's get started. I should mention that my skin is normal to dry. I am 35 years old, and my biggest struggle, I would say, is pores. I feel like I have a lot of enlarged pores right here. Right now, obviously, we have a couple bruises to cover up, but normally I don't really struggle with a ton of pigmentation or rosacea. So yeah, those are the deets about my skin. Now the deets on this new foundation from Hourglass. This is supposed to be a luminous hydrating foundation. It does have SPF, so if you struggle with that, you're probably not gonna like this. And I've been searching on their website everywhere to find the coverage information, and I couldn't find anything. All I found is that if you want more coverage, just build it up. So I assume it is a medium coverage, but I don't know. We're about to find out once we put it on. And let's see, how much did I pay for it? It was expensive. It is $58, so it's a pricey little thing. And it says here you have sun protection, SPF 50. Again, don't just use this as your main SPF. This is just a little bit extra. You have some advanced skincare that it visibly smooths, intensely moisturizes, and hydrates skin. It's clinically proven to visibly reduce fine lines and wrinkles, improve skin tone and texture. Oh, this is important. 12 hours wear. I am very curious about that. We will test that out. Transfer and crease resistant, doesn't settle into fine lines, and doesn't oxidize throughout the day. So I like those claims. I picked up two shades, and I would like to tell you that I got them a little too dark. I got the shade 10 and 13. 10 sounded like it would be my perfect shade, light to medium with neutral undertones. And I think it's too dark. If anything, I feel like the 13 is a little lighter, which is medium with neutral warm undertones. So probably should have picked the shade 8 maybe. I don't know. Once this arrives at Sephora, I will go test out different shades. So the packaging is nice. It is in a gold tube packaging. You do have this squeeze tube right here. It's very similar to their skin tint. This is just white. This is the shade 10. And then I'll swatch the shade 13 next to it. So this is the shade 10, a very heavy swatch. And then the shade 13 right here. See, that looks lighter to me. So those are the two shades that I have. Obviously, the undertone is a big difference because the undertone of the 10 is a neutral, and this one has more warmth in it. But yeah, the 10 looks much deeper than the 13. I'm swatching the 10 right here so you can see that it is nice and deep for me. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I am not tan at all. So I feel like in the summertime I could pull these off, but yeah, not right now. And this one is the 13. I'm going to use this one, obviously. This one, it's going to make me look almost muddy. But yeah, terrible shade matching on my part. I think this one, I'm going to make it work. It'll be fine. We'll put some lighter concealer and kind of make it work. But do not get these shades if you're around my skin tone. Go a little lighter. I think what I want to do is just kind of put it on and use my finger to blend it in. We'll see how this works. It definitely feels very creamy, not super thin. And moisturizing. It feels almost like a nice hydrating cream. And as you can see, it is very hydrating on the skin. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna look like an Oompa Loompa. We'll take it down the neck a little bit. We'll make it work. I'm taking a little bit more and doing it on my forehead. Yeah, I feel like the coverage is maybe light to medium. Yeah, right now it kind of looks like a light to medium coverage. I still see my freckles through. The bruise is not even a little covered. I actually love the coverage. I think this is my perfect coverage. It looks very kind of skin-like, very much like skincare, and it feels like skincare. Ooh, I love that. Okay, that is beautiful. My pores look great. I have not used a primer. I don't want to use a primer. It literally just melted into my skin. Wow, even my neck is peeling. Around the chin area is looking really good, right where I'm peeling. I think because it's lighter coverage, I'm going to be able to use this color even now. Let's add a little bit more and see if we can build this up. Oh yeah, you can see that it kind of covered that a little bit more. And I will test it with a brush on the other side. But the fingers work so well with this. It's definitely buildable. You can build up coverage with this for sure. I'm just surprised how well it looks around my pores. Like it's really smooth. And usually when you have a hydrating, more luminous foundation, it tends to, emphasize your pores a little bit more, but not this one. I love this. Like, it's immediate love, mostly now in the winter time. I think if you have oilier skin, you're not gonna like this at all because it feels very hydrating. But for my dry skin right now, it actually feels very comforting, almost like I'm putting skincare on. Okay, so this is one side with, and then without. Let's try it with a brush. I am taking my BK Beauty 115 brush and putting some of the product on my hand and then going with the brush on my face. The texture is creamy, but it's not too thick. It's not serumy or liquidy at all. It definitely has more of that cream feel to it, but it's not thick, which I like. Again, like a good moisturizer. Very easy to blend in. I think with a brush you get fuller coverage. So now it's a medium coverage with a brush because I'm able to kind of pack it in there. But it feels very like I'm not wearing anything, like I'm just nice and glowy, wearing a nice hydrating cream, and that's about it. I actually really like the application with a brush. It works both ways, but can you guys see that this is more covered than this one where I used my fingers? You get a more flawless look with this. If you're curious, I'm shade 7 in the skin tint. Okay, that is how the skin looks like. A very hydrating, very glowy. It's starting to set down, but it's not fully set yet. I will go and finish the rest of my makeup with concealer and all that, and then we'll see if it has set down. I'm gonna try not to powder it unless I feel like it needs powder. But look at that glow. Wow. If you have dry skin, I feel like this could be one of your perfect foundations. I feel like the camera makes the face look darker than in person. In person, I would say it's half a shade too dark, which I could absolutely work with. I put a little bit of concealer, it'll really blend in, and I think it'll look good. But the monitor makes my face look a little bit darker. Here is how the foundation looks up, nice and personal. I think it looks so beautiful around the pores. Around my chin that I mentioned I am peeling, I don't see any peeling or any dry skin there, which is quite impressive. My little bruise is covered, but I'm gonna have to go with concealer over that. But yeah, I think the skin looks beautiful, very smooth, kind of perfected. I would say I'm at a medium coverage, and I don't think you can get more than that with this foundation. But I think you can get a good medium coverage. I think it's beautiful. I'm going to go finish up my makeup, and then when it's time for the cheek and the lip, I'm going to show you these new Chanel products. Here is my base all done. I put a little bit of a concealer. I used my Sarah Creel concealer. I love this one so much. It's hydrating, it's thin, it just feels again like skincare. And then I did set that one down with my Makeup by Mario powder. This is in the fair pink. Did my brows, and then the other thing I did was put some bronzer on. Now I am ready for my cheeks and my eyes, and Chanel came out with their spring collection. There's some single shadows, there's some nail polish, some eyeliners, also quite a few lip balms. I have two right here. I'm gonna try those on for you in just a little bit. And then this big multi-use eyeshadow and highlighter palette. Now we're kind of used to Chanel bringing these massive palettes. I did purchase the last, I want to say 3 big palettes they came out with. In the winter, it was that purpley pink, really kind of interesting color story. I like that one more than I thought, but I don't use it a lot. And so when I saw this release, I was like, I kind of think I'm going to use this one. So this is supposed to be more of a highlighter and eyeshadow, and just these tones alone are tones that I would use on my eyes quite daily. All of these have quite a lot of glow in them. They're luminous. But I was talking with a Chanel sales person, and she says she uses these as blushes as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's swatch this actually. This is the first time I'm actually swatching it. Yeah, I could use that as a blush. That looks pretty. These seem very smooth, not as chalky or textury as last year's palette, or like whatever, the winter palette. Okay, so that one's definitely more for the eyes. These 3 I can use for the face. I like the colors. They're just very light though. Every time you have a palette like this, it's hard to please everybody. Some of these colors won't work on light skin tone, and some of these won't work on deeper skin tone. I would just love to see brands coming out with at least 3 different depths for their palettes. So these are the 4 color stories. They are very smooth. I have to say, this is probably the smoothest Chanel palette, like big palette like this, that I have or tried. Here are the colors. They look nice and boring. Nothing special, to be honest. I mean, you know, we all have these colors by now. Curious to see how it looks on the cheeks. I am going to take this beautiful brush from Refer. This is limited edition. I think it's called Soho. I don't know. And I'm going to start with this one. I want to see if I can use this one on my cheeks. It picks up really well. And again, I did not powder this area of my face. Actually, let's do a zoom in first before I apply this, so you can see how the foundation looks like. I think it looks very smooth, very clean. I don't feel like it looks heavy at all. There's definitely still some glow there, as you can see. But since I powdered under my eyes, and I did powder my chin, my nose, and I think right in between my brows, I feel like that really balanced the foundation so it won't be so glowy everywhere. I feel like that would be a little bit too much for me. But there's still glow on the forehead here, which I like. I think it looks really, really pretty. I think this wasn't blended. Well, there we go. Yeah, I think the skin looks beautiful, very healthy. Let's try this Chanel. I'm using this as a blush first. This is the lightest one. Chanel came out a couple years ago with a blush quad face palette, and I love that one so much. It's actually blush and highlighter. It's for your eyes too, but I use that one so much. Many of these big pans have been kind of flattened out. So I do find use for these Chanel ones, but not if they're super colorful. Okay, that definitely gave me a slight color. It's a very soft, it's very elegant, honestly. Ooh, it can be built up. That's actually very pretty. It's a little warmer than I thought it would be. I thought it would be more pink. But that's actually beautiful. That's a beautiful blush, a very subtle, very elegant. It does have glow to it, but it's not textury at all. That's pretty. I like that. I think you can find this collection at Nordstrom, obviously Chanel.com. I got mine at Dillard's, so there's a couple places where you can find this. That is actually very, very beautiful. Again, very soft, barely there blush, but I like that. Should we do this as the highlighter? It seems quite highlighty. Or the peachy one? Let's try the really light one. Now I'm going to take some off because I don't want a ton of highlighter, but I want to see how it looks like. Put it on my brow. Yeah, that definitely gives you quite a lot of glow. I think it's pretty though. Let's try on the other cheek. I'm gonna use this one. I don't know how wise this was to do it with the foundation, but we're here. Ooh, that's actually even prettier. Dare I say even brighter? It's just a little bit more of that peachy color. Ooh, that's really, really pretty. I'm gonna take my foundation brush just to blend everything in. So here is the more champagne color, and here is the lighter color that has just a little bit more pink in it. I honestly think they're both beautiful, very smooth highlighters, very, very smooth highlighters. I'm just gonna mix the colors a little bit so I can even out my face. But yeah, very, very beautiful. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of this peachy shade, and I'm going to put it on my eyelid. I'm not going to do much on my eyelids besides this. Just curious how it will look. It definitely gives a little bit of a color. It's soft. Again, it does have some glow to it, but it's not shimmery at all. It's a pretty soft color. Now this one has most kind of texture and pigment out of all of them. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and just put a little bit of a wash of color right here. I don't want it to be too intense, so I'm just being careful with this. Taking a smaller brush and going back into that peachy shade. I'm going to take it under the eyes. I have to say that it's very smooth, very, very smooth. And it's not too shimmery or glittery whatsoever. It's actually working really well, almost like a soft matte color on the eyes. That's surprisingly pretty. I'm going to take a little bit of this shade right here. I'm going to try to use all 4 of them, but you don't have to. Just trying to kind of test them all out. And then I'm going to take the lightest one and put it right here in the inner corner. It's very soft, which is why I like it. It's not super intense, and I find that much more flattering on the eyes, on the cheek. Again, it's soft, Just a soft palette. Okay, that is the palette from Chanel. I'm surprised I like it so much. I think it is probably the most easy, user-friendly out of all the big ones that they ever came out with. It looks boring and it looks repetitive, and it is. You do not need all these highlighters, but you can definitely use it on your eye. It's like such a soft, easy eye look. I'm using this as a blush. I bet I could use this as a blush as well. Should we add a little bit? No, this is what I wanted some of the other palettes to be. This kind of texture. The colors are repetitive. They're kind of boring. There's not a ton that you can do with this. So you could just get away with buying one smaller highlighter from Chanel if you really want to. But if you're curious if I like it, if the formula is good, it's really good. Like I mentioned, probably the smoothest out of all their latest releases. And probably the most user-friendly. Yeah, that's actually beautiful. Okay, I'm going to go do my mascara. And you know what? Actually, let me just try these two lip products. I have the shade Honey Bliss in Tender Peach. Honey Bliss is a beautiful, more brownie shade. Look at that. It's beautiful, but the peachy one, the Tender Peach, just I saw it and I was like, I want that. Look at that. And these are balms, okay? These are not lipsticks. So they're going to be sheer, but it does have a bit of a pigment. So I'm going to swatch the peach one right here. I'm going to do a lot of little swipes. That's the peachy one. And then the brown one. I think most people are going to like this one because it's just such a classic shade. And I feel like it almost has some gold in it. I don't think it does. Oh, maybe it does. Maybe it does a little bit. But it's so elegant and soft. Let's try the Honey Bliss. This is the Rouge Coco Balm formula. I do have a lip stain underneath, but I put it that quite a while ago and I wiped it real quick. I didn't let it sit because I remembered I had to swatch these. So there is a little bit of a tint on my lips, but oh, these feel so comfortable. That is a perfect kind of nudie brownie shade. It's so comfortable. I forgot how good these are. Here is the shade Honey Bliss. And then let's wipe this off. Oh, yes, I love this color so much. I'm going to pair it with a little bit of a brown liner, but I want you to see the color. I'm trying to build it up so it'll cover a little bit of that stain that I have underneath. Oh, I love this color. It's so good. This is the color Tender Peach. I'm going to put mascara on real quick, put maybe a little bit of a liner on, and show you the finished look. Here is the makeup finished up. I put the mascara on, and then I added my Tom Ford Irresistible lip liner, and just put the peachy shade right in the middle, right here. And it's so pretty. Okay, so I feel like the skin looks great, obviously, because I reviewed the Chanel little face palette. There's some extra glow right here, but I think overall you can kind of look on the forehead, just everywhere else to kind of see the effect of the foundation. And I think wearing it throughout the day, it's going to give us a good idea of if it lasts well. It's supposed to be 12-hour wear and transfer proof and all that good stuff. So I'm going to test that out. I still feel very glowy. My chin is definitely glowy. Did I powder that? I can't remember if I did. Maybe I added a little bit of whatever was left on the puff. I went over that a little bit. But yeah, definitely it's a glowy foundation, but I think it's beautiful. I think the pore area looks very nice and smooth. Around my chin, I don't see it clinging to any of my dry patches. And I'm telling you, I have many. It looks so smooth. I am quite surprised. On the forehead, yeah, it looks very smooth. I'm surprised for a glowy foundation. I feel like this looks beautiful. I think the texture of the Hourglass is perfect. It's not too thick, it's not slippery, it's not clinging to anything. It does have a beautiful hydrating feel to it. I think it's going to be too hydrating if you have normal to oily skin. It may be a little bit too much for you. Obviously, if you have oily skin, stay far away from it. But if you have normal skin, normal to dry, I think you're gonna love it. It's a very, very hydrating. We'll see how it lasts throughout the day. I do tend to powder a little bit my T-zone throughout the day. That's not uncommon. Actually, I do that with most of my foundations. I just like this area to stay kind of smooth and matte and not too glowy. So I usually take just one of my favorite powders. This is the JEUX powder, and I'll just go with this. Maybe I may do that just a little bit right here. See where that glow is. This is not a heavy powder. It's just very soft. And it will just, look at that. It still leaves some of the glow coming through. It's just not too much. So far, I'm really liking the foundation. It feels comfortable. I like the coverage. It doesn't stay wet, but I wouldn't say it dries down like powdery or anything like that. Like, it feels like a cream, you know, the way a cream dries on your face, that's how this feels. So if that bothers you, you know, it's good to know. And yeah, it looks beautiful. I'm surprised how much I like this Chanel. Now I've seen this one even in my local Nordstrom, I think, and my Chanel, and I just didn't pick it up. I was like, it just looks kind of boring, but I'm glad I did because I do think that I'm going to get a lot of use out of this. I'm usually not a big fan of such big palettes, but for highlighters and blushes and things like that, I think this is a perfect size. And obviously you can use it on your eyes like I did today. It's very soft, beautiful, very wearable, and love the lip products. Are they worth it? No. I mean, you're paying for the brand. It's Chanel. You're going to pay a ton of money, but I do like the packaging. You can see the color through it, and the formula is really nice and hydrating. It's just a regular COCO Rouge balm. So everything is turning out really well. So I will do some check-ins throughout the day and come back at the end of the day and give you my final thoughts. Future Tania here, which can only mean one thing. I did mess up something in the video. Yeah, my first check-in, I did not press record, so I don't have any of that footage, which is just great. You know, it was actually a really good check-in as well because it was a really good natural light and you could see everything. And then my second mistake was some settings on the camera, so the check-in that I do have is just a little shaky, but hopefully you can still see how the product sits and everything. But yeah, no first check-in, we're going straight to second one. Second check-in of the day, and I am sitting in front of my open door. It is full of snow, but I didn't feel like I had good lighting if the door was closed. So here we are, freezing our little butts off. But here is how the foundation's looking like. Let's kind of go outside a little bit. Here is how the foundation looks like. Nothing has changed. It's literally exactly the same. I love the blush highlighter. I think it's so natural and pretty. The foundation literally has not budged. I actually scraped my forehead pretty bad on something, and I don't see any foundation that came off, so that's great. Overall, it looks beautiful. I just feel like when I look in the mirror, I just look healthy and like myself, and I don't feel like I have a ton of makeup on. So I am loving it. I think it's so beautiful, and it's lasting really, really well. It has not oxidized. And by the way, I wanted to mention the color last time. I feel like it matches pretty well. With a little bit of concealer, the match is great. So this is shade 13. The shade 10 is just too neutral for me. I feel like this one works really well. And yeah, it's not glowier than it has been. So it definitely hasn't gotten oilier or anything like that. It's a very set on my face. Yeah, after an hour of application, I felt like it just completely set and it doesn't feel like it's gonna go anywhere. So yeah, this is the second check-in. Look at the snowman that the kids made. That's actually a really cute snowman. It looks cute. My daughter came in with her hair all wet and just everything wet. And I was like, where's your hat? And she's like, I put it on my snowman. I have had this makeup on all day. There's a little bit more glow than obviously when I first applied it. I'd like to say that I did not touch up one thing. I didn't touch up my lips. I didn't touch my eyes. There's absolutely no touch-ups. The only thing is I rubbed my face all over my hands. I was like reading and kind of like, you know, using my hand as a pillow, kids, cooking, all that stuff. So I'm gonna take my mirror and look really up close to see if there's anything that broke up. Okay, so I see here, let's zoom you in. Right around here where I have quite a lot of peeling and just a little bit of eczema almost. It has just moved a little bit. It's not significant enough to where you see it if you're just talking to me, but me just looking really up close, I can see that. We definitely have some glowiness happening on the forehead. You know, there's some of it gone from around here. That's probably where I was reading and kind of using my hands. So that probably rubbed some of that off, but even with that, it's not tragic at all. The nose area looks actually really good. It looks pretty perfect. Could use a little bit of powder. The forehead looks good right here. I feel like there's a little bit, just the tiniest bit of the product, not breaking, but just maybe moving a little bit, maybe me touching. Yeah, I am very impressed. I am loving this so much. The whole day I felt like just clean and pretty, almost like my skin is healthy. It looked like it had like a nice tinted moisturizer on. Like it just looked like I'm wearing skincare with just a little bit of a tint. Even though I kind of looked pretty perfected, it covered really well. And I'm loving the foundation like a lot. Again, it did get a little glowier, but very, very little. And I want to say in the past 2 hours, it was when I started seeing a little bit extra glow. Throughout the day, I did not notice the foundation getting any glowier. So that is great, great news. I feel like the color has not gotten any darker. It has not oxidized at all. I love this foundation. I think it's beautiful. I don't think it's for everybody. Obviously, if you have oily skin, you're not going to reach for a very hydrating, glowy foundation. But if you have more of that normal skin, normal to dry, I think you would really, really like it. And I think it lasted so well. Very impressed with how it lasted. And again, it wasn't a day where I didn't do anything. I physically did a lot of things. So that is a huge thumbs up from me. I'm loving it. Now, I still have some blush on, as you can see right here, on my eyes. There's still something there. It definitely has creased quite a bit. I still have some of the highlighter on. I think this palette lasted pretty well as well, being the end of the day. It's literally 10 o'clock at night, I think. And I think it still looks decent. All I have to do is probably just a little bit of this, a little bit of powder, and I'm good to go. I'm not saying that this palette's worth the money because it's very expensive. I want to say it was $80 something, but I do think that it is something that I will enjoy and I will get use out of it, and it's very easy to use. The lip balms also were very nice, lasted much longer than I expected this color. Again, I did not touch up anything. Obviously, I had lunch, I had dinner, and all that stuff. By the way, you can see that I still have a bit of a lip line. It's this Tom Ford lip liner. It is so long lasting. I know I've recommended it many times, but whatever's left on my lips is the lip liner. I am so excited about these products. I'm excited that they worked, mostly because I haven't bought a ton of makeup lately. I haven't tried new makeup in maybe a month or something. And so that is exciting that the ones that I picked up worked really well and I can see them being staple in my collection. I am about to go with Andrew on our hill and go sledding because it's nighttime. The kids are sleeping. So we can enjoy the snow now and we can be little kids ourselves. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I hope you have a good one. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.